Meet Your Maker is a game with so much potential, yet the game is about to meet its own maker instead. Created by the Dead by Daylight developers, is a fresh and innovative approach to asymmetrical games. It involves running player-made dungeons,
Dungeon Master,
where getting hit by a single trap or enemy will instantly kill you. You won't just be deceased by dawn, you're gonna be destroyed before daybreak many times. Which feeds into your subsequent ones as you spend a good 10 to 15 minutes in a Minecraft death trap simulator to steal a red crystal at the end of the map. At the very least, this game is a way better story than Star Wars could ever be, with a desert-dwelling protagonist who explores old ruins, who then finds out they're the chosen one or something. You are the custodian, a probable human who is helping this mutated thing in a Bacta tank
The Polynesian spell.
known as the Chimera to evolve to end the apocalypse using those redstone crystals you found in the desert temples. And if we've all seen enough post-apocalyptic sci-fi horror movies, I'm just hoping she doesn't bust out the tank and eat everyone using the red crystal crack I've been feeding her. Just like Dead by Daylight, the stories of the characters really reach no proper conclusion or story progression with time. Hitting level 100 does nothing for the Chimera, and there really is no end goal to the game apart from simply running maps and farming resources running maps. As interesting as it gets with running dungeons for an alien to buy armor, weapons, bricks, traps, and mutants to turn your
entire house into a dungeon,
there's really not much else to do in the main area. You can always watch people die horrible deaths in your dungeon and laugh at their misery when they get shot in the ass by yet another ballista trap, or build your own dungeon for others to walk into. You get lasers, spike traps, arrow traps, bondage traps, and of course, a bunch of orcs from Lord of the Rings to defend your dungeon to fulfill your
deep, dark fantasies
of watching other players suffer until you run out of Genmat and can't even open them to enemies, so you're forced to run more player-made dungeons to replenish it again. And that's basically the entire game loop of Meet Your Maker for another few hours before you get bored and move on.
10 seconds later.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Despite the deceptive appearances, it's marketed as a multiplayer game, and of course you can run dungeons with a second Jabroni so you can respawn back when you die a horrible death to yet another death box.
King in the castle, king in the castle.
But the problem is the lack of player interactivity in the game outside of co-op, which is the exact reason why this game gets very boring really quickly. There's simply no human player to outsmart in this game, a player who can make mistakes much like a killer or survivor in Dead by Daylight to go up against, or maybe even in the new Chainsaw Massacre game as well. And if you look at all the popular multiplayer games of all time, you can see a very clear trend among them all. They all have the most cancerous communities known to mankind. Oh, wait, you mean the other clear trend? You get to fight other players in a competitive fashion. As much as I like Meet Your Maker's concept for a multiplayer sandbox dungeon crawling game, it simply outgrows its novelty when you figure out that there's really not much to the game apart from endless grinding for materials to upgrade your base. It's really not often that I like saying that a game is dying, but in this case, the player numbers don't lie, and it's just plain sad to see such a good concept with so much wasted potential. It doesn't mean I don't like the maps that people make. Some people make the most beautiful maps in this game while keeping it brutal but still playable, while other players make absolutely unplayable death boxes to farm for materials. Playing this game in the free trial and the beta, I really don't blame players anymore for making impossible maps to farm. Because your dungeons have limited Genmat, it simply beats running dungeons and having to replenish that when you play fair at the expense of your fun. While those killbox players will play unfair at the expense of someone else's fun, which tends to be you in this case. Unless the developers create a system that forces you to run a map to completion without dying to confirm that the map is actually humanely doable, I'd say we'll be plagued with this issue for a very, very long time. On this sad note, I have to give Meet Your Maker about a 6 out of 10. It's an honestly awesome concept that just fell into obscurity due to its limited gameplay loop and reliance on player-built maps for content that acts as a double-edged sword that people just end up not liking over time. Human ingenuity in building the best dungeon ever for others to run is simply unable to beat the adrenaline of outsmarting an enemy player in a multiplayer game or outgunning them. So is it worth playing for a few hours? Yes, but only at a reduced price of 50% off or more. Any longer than a few hours? Probably not, unless you are an absolute masochist who enjoys running into dungeons to die. Behavior. You had one job to make this grind worthwhile.
But you didn't.
Let me know if you do enjoy having a few extra games outside of gacha games to spice things up a little bit every now and then. And as always, stay safe, stay humble, and, well, go buy DBD instead if you really want an asymmetrical game. This is the Any Night, and we will see you next time.